The massive alien ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a dark metal mountain. Its shadow fell across the United Nations building in New York, blocking out the sun and casting the entire city into an eerie twilight. People in the streets stopped what they were doing and looked up in fear and wonder. Inside the UN Assembly Hall, world leaders sat in stunned silence as the enormous creature entered through doors that had been hastily widened. The alien stood nearly 3 meters, tall, covered in crimson scales that gleamed under the harsh lights. 4 black eyes, each the size of a human fist, studied the gathered humans with obvious contempt. Sharp mandibles clicked together as it spoke, and a mechanical translator box rendered its words in cold, emotionless English. "I am Vexthal, voice of the Corvani Empire," the creature announced. Its voice echoed through the chamber like grinding metal. "Your species has been observed. Your world has been evaluated. You will now receive the terms of your integration into the Empire." Park Jiho, the newly elected Secretary General, stood slowly from his seat. His hands trembled slightly, but his voice remained steady. "Integration? We never agreed to any integration." The alien's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "Agreement is not required. The Corvani Empire spans 10,000 worlds. Countless species have joined us. You will be no different." Defense Minister Kim Nari leaned forward in her chair, her pen moving quickly across her notepad. She had been taking detailed notes since the moment the creature appeared, but her eyes never left the alien's face. Beside her, council member Lee Minho gripped his armrest so tightly his knuckles had turned white. "What exactly do you want from us?" asked Choi Hyun, trying to keep his voice calm. Vexthal's 4 eyes fixed on him with predatory focus. "The terms are simple and non-negotiable. First, 40% of your industrial output will be transferred to Imperial control. Your factories, your mines, your production facilities will serve the Empire's needs." Gasps echoed through the assembly hall. Several delegates began speaking at once, but Vexthal continued without pause. "Second, 20% of your population will be conscripted for labor service throughout the Empire. They will work where they are needed, for as long as they are needed." "You're talking about slavery," Song Yuna, the diplomatic advisor, said quietly. Her face had gone pale, but her eyes burned with anger. "We prefer the term productive integration," Vexthal replied. "Your people will contribute to something greater than themselves. They should be honored." Park Jiho stepped forward, his diplomatic training barely containing his rage. "And the third term? Complete military disarmament. Your weapons, your ships, your defenses, all will be dismantled. The Empire provides protection. Individual worlds have no need for military forces." The silence that followed was deafening. Outside, news helicopters circled the UN building like vultures, broadcasting the scene to billions of viewers worldwide. In homes and offices across Earth, people watched their leaders face an impossible choice. "You have 30 standard rotations to comply," Vexthal continued. "This is not a negotiation. This is notification. Refuse, and your world will burn like countless others before it." Lee Minho found his voice first. "How many worlds have accepted these terms?" "All of them, eventually." The alien's mandibles spread wide, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth. Some accepted quickly and preserved their populations. Others resisted and suffered greatly before accepting reality. "The choice is yours." Kim Nari stopped writing and looked directly at the creature. "What happens to species that continue to resist?" "They become extinct," Vexthal said simply. "The Empire is patient, but not infinitely so. We have removed 17 species from existence when they proved too troublesome to integrate. Would you like to see the recordings?" The threat hung in the air like poison gas. Several delegates were openly weeping now, the magnitude of the situation finally sinking in. Earth, with all its nations and armies and nuclear weapons, was facing something beyond their comprehension. "We need time to consider," Park Jiho said carefully. "You have 30 rotations. Not one more." Vexthal turned toward the exit, then paused. "Do not mistake this for weakness or uncertainty. The Imperial fleet numbers over 50,000 vessels. Your entire planet's military forces would not threaten a single one of our ships. Except reality. As the alien departed, its footsteps echoing like thunder through the halls, the world leaders sat in stunned silence. They had entered the meeting as representatives of Earth's most powerful nations. They were leaving as conquered subjects of an interstellar empire. But what Vexthal did not know, what no alien observer had detected, was that certain humans had been preparing for this day for over 20 years. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Yoon Sojun was already receiving reports of the aliens' departure. In hidden facilities around the world, Dr. Han Yoonji was running final tests on weapons that shouldn't exist. And in the outer reaches of the solar system, Captain Oh Min-jae was commanding ships that had never appeared on any official registry. The Empire expected surrender. Earth's leaders would give them something else entirely. The most dangerous thing about humans, they would soon learn, was not their weapons or their technology. It was their absolute refusal to go quietly into the dark. 3 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Yoon Seojun stood before a massive holographic display that showed every ship in the Corvani fleet. The underground facility had been carved from solid rock over 15 years, hidden from every satellite and sensor that had ever scanned Earth's surface. To the world above, this was just another mountain. To the people working inside, it was humanity's last hope. Report, Yoon Seojun commanded as he studied the alien formations. Dr. Han Yoonji stepped forward, her white lab coat stained with burn marks from her latest experiments. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not slept in days, but her voice was steady and confident. The quantum displacement cannons are ready. We have 37 units positioned throughout the asteroid belt, all synchronized with the lunar defense platforms. The weapons she described had taken 12 years to develop. They fired energy bursts through folded space, allowing attacks from impossible angles. The theory had been simple enough, but making it work had nearly driven her team insane. 3 scientists had suffered nervous breakdowns, and 1 had died in a testing accident. But now they had weapons that could strike through dimensions. Excellent. What about the Ghost Fleet? Yoon Seojun turned to Chief Engineer Lim Jae-won. Lim Jae-won smiled grimly as he activated another section of the display. Suddenly, empty space around Earth filled with ship silhouettes. 150 vessels, all equipped with phase-shift cloaking technology. The Corvani sensors cannot detect them. Their ships are too big, too slow. They think like elephants, trying to catch mice. The Ghost Fleet had been humanity's greatest secret, built in hidden shipyards throughout the outer solar system. Each vessel was small, fast, and completely invisible to conventional sensors. The Empire built massive dreadnoughts, meant to intimidate and overwhelm. Humans built surgical instruments, meant to cut and disappear. Intelligence Officer Park Soman approached with a tablet full of coded messages. Our sleeper agents are in position across 47 Imperial worlds. Agent An Gyeonwoo reports from Nexus Prime that their defense grid vulnerabilities are mapped. Agent Jung Yejin on Kepler Station says the rebellion cells are ready for activation. These agents had spent decades establishing themselves in Imperial space. They posed as traitors, diplomats, even servants in some cases. They learned Imperial languages, studied their technology, befriended their operators. Some had married aliens and started families, becoming so deep undercover they almost forgot their true purpose. But when the signal came, they would remember. And the evacuation? Yoon Seo-jun asked. Communications Officer Kim Dong-hyun nodded toward screens showing major cities around the world. Proceeding as planned, the surface populations think these are emergency drills. Families are moving to the underground cities we built over the past 10 years. Others are boarding transports for the outer colonies. Above ground, the evacuation looked like panicking civilians following government orders. Parents packed their children onto buses heading for safety shelters. Workers boarded trains bound for secure facilities. Students left universities for temporary relocation centers. None of them knew they were descending into vast underground cities that could support millions of people for years. The outer colonies were another secret entirely. While the world watched normal space missions launching communication satellites, Other ships had been carrying people and supplies to hidden bases throughout the solar system. Mars, Europa, Titan, even distant Pluto now housed human settlements that appeared nowhere on any official records. Status of the decoy cities? Yoon Seojin asked. Engineer Nam Hyejin pulled up architectural blueprints. All major metropolitan areas now have full-scale facade systems. From orbit, they will appear completely normal. The Empire will see lights, movement, even simulated traffic patterns. They will not know they are bombing empty shells until it is too late. The decoy cities had been the most expensive part of the preparation. Entire city blocks had been rebuilt as hollow frameworks designed to create spectacular explosions when hit. Holographic projectors would simulate populations, going about their daily lives. Automated systems would maintain the illusion until the moment of attack. What about the broadcast system? Yoon Seojin asked. Technical specialist Lee Seo-won grinned as she activated a communications array. We have hijacked 17 Imperial communication satellites over the past 5 years. When we transmit, every enslaved world in the galaxy will hear us. Every species under Imperial control will know that someone is fighting back. In orbit above Earth, the massive Corvani fleet had arranged itself in attack formation. Warlord Kethavar commanded from his flagship, a vessel the size of a city that could crack planets with its main weapon. He gazed down at the blue world, with satisfaction, already planning how to divide its resources among his officers. Any sign of resistance preparation? He asked his aide. None, my lord. Their military forces appear to be standing down. We detect no weapons capable of threatening our fleet. This will be another easy conquest. What the Corvani could not detect were the quantum signatures of the displacement cannons, the phase-shifted hulls of the Ghost Fleet, or the massive tunnel systems that now honeycombed Earth's crust. They saw what humanity wanted them to see, a peaceful world full of frightened primitives preparing to surrender. But deep underground, Admiral Yoon Seojin was not preparing for surrender. He was preparing for war unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire expected another species to bow before their might. Instead, they were about to learn why humans had survived every extinction event their planet had ever thrown at them. The countdown had begun. The 30 days had passed like a countdown to the end of the world. Across Earth, people held their breath as the deadline approached. In the Corvani flagship high above, Warlord Kethavar sat on his command throne, confident that another species would soon kneel before the Empire's might. At exactly noon, Greenwich time, every communication system on Earth activated simultaneously. Park Ji-ho's face appeared on screens across the planet and throughout the Imperial fleet. His voice was calm, steady, and carried the weight of an entire species behind it. People of Earth and those who would claim dominion over us, he began. You came to our world expecting fear. You expected submission. You expected us to beg for mercy. He paused, and when he spoke again, his words echoed across the galaxy. Come and take it. The transmission cut to black, leaving only silence. Warlord. Kethavar's mandibles clicked in rage. Insolent mammals. Reduce their cities to ash. Leave enough survivors to serve as an example to other worlds. The bombardment began at dawn. Massive plasma cannons aboard the Imperial ships turned their fury upon Earth's greatest cities. New York exploded in a brilliant fireball visible from space. London vanished in a cloud of superheated vapor. Tokyo, Moscow, and Berlin followed within minutes. The destruction was absolute, overwhelming, and exactly what the Empire expected from a conquered world. But something was wrong. Where are the bodies? Demanded the warlord's aide, studying the sensor readings. We should detect millions of casualties. The readings show nothing. Through the smoke and flames, the truth became visible. The cities had been nothing but elaborate shells, hollow frameworks designed to create spectacular explosions. Streets were empty concrete. Buildings contained no people, no furniture, no life. The Empire had just spent enormous amounts of energy destroying movie sets. Impossible, Kethavar snarled. Scan for underground shelters. They must be hiding in bunkers. Deep beneath the Colorado mountains, Admiral Yoon Seojin watched the Imperial fleet's confusion with grim satisfaction. Phase 1 complete. The Empire just wasted half their bombardment ammunition on empty targets. All units, this is Phoenix Command. Operation Silent Thunder is now active. Across the asteroid belt, what had appeared to be floating rocks suddenly came alive. Concealed shipyards that had operated in secret for over a decade began revealing their true nature. The asteroids split open like flowers, exposing massive construction facilities that had been building humanity's secret fleet. Captain O'Minje stood on the bridge of the Soul's Vengeance, watching her ship emerge from its rocky camouflage. Around her, 149 other vessels did the same. They were sleek, fast, and completely unlike anything in the Imperial database. Where Corvani ships were massive and intimidating, human ships were surgical instruments designed for precision warfare. All units, remember your training, O'Minje broadcast to the hidden fleet. We are not here to match their firepower. We are here to prove that brains beat brawn every single time. The Imperial sensors finally detected the human fleet, but the readings made no sense. The ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, their phase shift cloaking making them impossible to track. Weapons that should not exist fired from impossible angles, striking through folded space itself. How do they have such technology? Kethvar roared as his first dreadnought listed helplessly, its engines crippled by quantum displacement fire. The answer was coming from across the galaxy. On the Imperial world of Nexus Prime, Agent Ongianwu sat in the Central Command facility where he had worked as a communications technician for 8 years. His Corvani co-workers trusted him completely. They had no idea he was about to destroy their entire defense grid. System maintenance in progress, he announced calmly as his fingers flew across the control panels. The virus he uploaded had been refined for years, designed specifically for Imperial computer systems. Within minutes, the lights went out across the planet's capital city. On 46 other worlds, similar scenes played out. Agent Jung Yejin sabotaged the orbital platforms above Kepler Station. Agent Kim Minseo triggered cascading failures in the power grid of Vega Colony. Decades of careful preparation paid off in a single devastating moment as Imperial infrastructure collapsed simultaneously across the galaxy. But the real masterstroke was yet to come. Commander Shin Hyuk led the Ghost Fleet's most audacious mission. Instead of attacking military targets, his ships materialized above the slave worlds themselves. Attention, people of Viridian Colony. His voice boomed across the planet's communication networks. This is the Terran Liberation Fleet. Your oppressors came to our world demanding surrender. This is our answer. The broadcast spread like wildfire. On world after world, enslaved species looked up to see human ships appearing from nowhere. The message was simple, but revolutionary. If the newest species in the galaxy could stand against the Empire, maybe freedom was possible for everyone. Lieutenant John Minwoo coordinated the weapons drops from his ship above the mining world of Rigel 7. Crates of human-designed weapons materialized in rebel camps that had been secretly organizing for years. The equipment was simple, reliable, and devastating against Imperial armor. Emperor Velkoth received the reports in his throne room on Corvus Prime. For the first time in 3 centuries of rule, his confidence wavered. The holographic display showed red warning lights appearing across the galaxy like a spreading infection. 17 sectors in rebellion, my lord, his aide reported, voice trembling. The human's message is spreading faster than we can contain it. What had started as a simple conquest was becoming the Empire's worst nightmare. The species that was supposed to become their newest subjects had instead lit a fire that threatened to burn down everything they had built. The Battle of Earth began with a lesson in human warfare that the Corvani Empire would never forget. Captain O'Minje's squadron struck like surgical knives, appearing from impossible angles and vanishing before the massive Imperial dreadnoughts could even target them properly. The Soul's Vengeance fired its quantum displacement cannons through folded space, punching holes clean through the hull of a Corvani battleship that was 10 times its size. Target their engines, not their weapons, O'Minje commanded her fleet. We want them helpless, not destroyed. Dead enemies cannot spread the word about what happened here. The human ships danced between the lumbering Imperial vessels like wasps attacking elephants. Every shot they fired hit exactly where it needed to, crippling propulsion systems and leaving the massive alien ships drifting helplessly in space. The Corvani had built their fleet for intimidation and overwhelming firepower, but they had never faced an enemy that refused to stand still and trade blows. Impossible! Warlord Kethavar roared from his flagship as another of his capital ships went dark, its engines destroyed by weapons that fired through dimensions. How do they possess such technology? Our intelligence reports showed they barely achieved faster-than-light travel. His aide's voice trembled as he delivered the next report. Sir, we are receiving emergency broadcasts from across the Empire. The humans have activated sleeper agents on dozens of our worlds. Critical infrastructure is failing everywhere. The scope of humanity's preparation was becoming clear. While the Empire had dismissed Earth as a primitive backwater, humans had been quietly infiltrating Imperial space for over 20 years. They had learned alien languages, studied Imperial technology, and most importantly, they had made friends. On the industrial world of Kepler Station, Agent Jung Yejin had spent 12 years working as an environmental systems engineer. Her Corvani supervisor, Keth Mole, had invited her to family dinners and trusted her with his children. He had no idea that she was systematically mapping every weakness in the station's defenses. Emergency protocols activated, Jung Yejin announced, over the station's intercom system. All personnel evacuate to emergency shelters. As the evacuation began, she uploaded the virus that would cripple the station's manufacturing facilities. The factories that produced Imperial weapons would be silent for months. Similar scenes played out across 47 worlds. Humans who had lived as trusted members of alien communities for decades suddenly revealed their true purpose. But they were not random saboteurs. Each agent had been carefully chosen and positioned to cause maximum disruption at the moment of humanity's counterattack. The real masterstroke, however, was happening in the slave colonies. Commander Shin Hyok's ghost fleet had materialized above worlds that had been conquered centuries ago, their populations enslaved and their spirits broken until now. People of Andromeda 7, Shin Hyok's voice echoed across the mining colony's communication systems. Look up. See the ships that appear from nowhere? They belong to the newest species in the galaxy. If we can stand against the Empire, so can you. Below, the blue-skinned Andromedans stopped their work in the crystal mines and stared upward in wonder. For generations, they had been told that resistance was impossible, that the Empire was too powerful to challenge. Now they saw human ships, appearing and disappearing like ghosts, proving that the impossible was just another word for something nobody had tried yet. Lieutenant John Minwoo's transport materialized in the colony's central square. The cargo bay opened, revealing crates of weapons specifically designed for Andromedan physiology. The rifles were simple, reliable, and deadly against Imperial armor. Freedom is not given, John Minwoo announced as the weapons were distributed. It is taken. Today, you take yours. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Andromedans had been planning rebellion for decades, lacking only the weapons and hope to make it reality. Now they had both. Within hours, the Imperial garrison was overwhelmed and another world declared its independence. The pattern repeated across the galaxy. On the agricultural world of Rigel 9, the insectoid sectar used human-supplied explosives to destroy the harvesting equipment that had enslaved them for centuries. On the ocean world of Vega 5, the aquatic delphinids used human submarine technology to attack Imperial underwater bases, but the most important effect was psychological. The broadcasts from the Liberation Fleet were spreading across the galaxy faster than the Empire could jam them. Every enslaved species was hearing the same message. The newest civilization in the galaxy had looked at the mighty Corvani Empire and said, no. Emperor Velkoth watched the reports flooding into his throne room with growing horror. The holographic display showed red warning lights spreading across his territory like a plague. 17 sectors in open rebellion, critical infrastructure failing, and his mighty fleet being humiliated by a species that had barely mastered space travel. How is this possible? He demanded of his advisors. They are mammals. They achieved interstellar flight less than a century ago. General Zarketh, his most trusted military leader, studied the tactical displays with professional respect. My lord, they have been preparing for this confrontation for decades. Every move we made, they anticipated. Every weakness we had, they found. They studied us while we ignored them. The Emperor's 4 eyes blazed with fury. Then crush them. Send the reserve fleets. Mobilize every ship in the Empire. The reserve fleets are dealing with rebellions in their own sectors. Zarketh replied quietly. The humans did not just attack us. They gave every enslaved species in the galaxy the tools and inspiration to attack us. We are fighting a war on 10,000 fronts. For the first time in 3 centuries of rule, Emperor Velkoth faced the possibility of defeat. The species he had come to conquer had instead lit a fire that threatened to burn down everything he had built. Emperor Velkoth had ruled the galaxy for 300 years, and never once had he felt fear. Today that changed. The massive holographic display in his throne room showed a sight that would have been impossible just days ago. His mighty empire crumbling like a house built from sand. Red warning lights blinked across the star map like a spreading disease. Sector after sector declared independence. World after world threw off the chains that had bound them for centuries. The rebellion was spreading faster than his fleets could respond, and at the center of it all was a small blue planet that should have surrendered without a fight. Status report, the Emperor commanded, his voice no longer carrying its usual authority. His aide, a trembling creature from the conquered world of Nexus Prime, consulted his data tablet with shaking hands. 34 sectors in open rebellion, my lord. The humans' broadcast has reached every enslaved world in the Empire. Their message is being repeated in over 2,000 languages. The message was simple but devastating. Freedom is possible. The newest species in the galaxy stands against the Empire. You can too. On his flagship above Earth, Warlord Kethver watched his once mighty fleet drift helplessly in space. Half his ships had been crippled by weapons that fired through dimensions. The other half were trapped, surrounded by human vessels that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. His communications officer had just received a transmission that made his blood run cold. Sir, we are receiving a direct communication from the planet's surface. They want to negotiate. Kethver's mandibles clicked in disbelief. Negotiate? We are the ones with 50,000 ships. 47,000, sir. And most of them are disabled. The transmission came from Admiral Yoon Seojin, speaking from his command center deep beneath the Colorado mountains. His voice was calm and professional, as if he were discussing the weather rather than the fate of galactic civilization. Warlord Kethvar, your fleet is surrounded and disabled. Your Emperor's infrastructure is collapsing across the galaxy. You have 2 choices: withdraw peacefully, or we demonstrate why humanity survived every extinction event our planet ever threw at us. The warlord's eyes blazed with fury. You dare threaten the Corvani Empire? We have conquered 10,000 worlds. Had, General Kangdeho corrected quietly, stepping into view beside the Admiral. Past tense, check your communications with the homeworlds. The reports were arriving faster than Kethvar could process them. The industrial world of Kepler Station had gone silent after Agent Young Yejin's sabotage. The mining colonies of the AEI Rigel system had declared independence and were broadcasting anti-imperial messages. Even worse, the enslaved species were coordinating their rebellions, sharing tactics and weapons provided by the humans. On Andromeda 7, the blue-skinned Andromedans had not only overthrown their imperial garrison, but were now building ships to carry their fight to other worlds. Lieutenant John Minwoo had taught them to modify human weapons for their physiology, and they were teaching other species to do the same. The revolution was spreading like wildfire, and humanity had provided the spark. Emperor Velkoth made the call himself. For the first time in imperial history, he personally contacted the leaders of a world they had tried to conquer. The holographic image of Park Jiho appeared in his throne room, and the human leader's calm demeanor only made the Emperor's humiliation more complete. I am prepared to discuss terms, Velkoth said, each word tasting like poison in his mouth. Park Jiho's expression remained neutral. Terms are simple and non-negotiable. Complete withdrawal, from all occupied worlds, dissolution of the tribute system, dismantling of the Imperial fleet, and a guarantee that no Imperial vessel will ever again threaten a free world. You cannot make such demands, Velkoth roared. The Empire spans the galaxy. Spanned, defense, Minister Kim Nari corrected, appearing beside Park Jiho. Past tense. Your empire is dissolving as we speak. The question is whether you want to be remembered as the tyrant who fell, or the leader who chose peace. The truth was undeniable. Reports continued flooding in from across the galaxy. The Sectar insectoids had destroyed every Imperial facility on Rigel 9. The aquatic delphinids had seized control of Vega 5's orbital platforms. Even the peaceful Centaurians, enslaved for over a millennium, had risen up and expelled their Imperial overseers. Dr. Han Unji's voice came over the communication channel from her laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains. Emperor, our quantum displacement technology can reach your throne world from here. We could have destroyed Corvus Prime at any time during this conflict. We chose not to because dead enemies cannot choose to change. The implicit threat was clear. Humanity possessed weapons that could strike across impossible distances, through folded space itself. They had demonstrated their power by crippling the Imperial fleet while keeping casualties to a minimum. But they could have done much worse. Commander Shin Hayok transmitted from the bridge of his ship above the former slave world of Vega 5. Your Majesty, I am currently watching the Delphinids teach the Rigelians how to build faster-than-light communicators. In a few months, every free world in the galaxy will be connected. The age of isolated conquest is over. Emperor Velkoth looked at the star map one final time. Where once a mighty empire had stretched across 10,000 worlds, now only a handful of core systems remained under Imperial control. The galaxy belonged to its people once again. Terms accepted, he said quietly. As the broken Imperial fleet began its long journey home, Captain O. Minji transmitted one final message across all frequencies. To every species, every world, every being who dreams of freedom, remember this day. The galaxy belongs to all of us. The age of empires is over. The age of freedom has begun.